Welcome to Business on the Vine. I'm your host, Lady Jen Du Plessis, and in this dynamic series, we dive into the challenges, breakthroughs, and victories of entrepreneurs who have turned their passion into success. Welcome. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Business on the Vine. I'm your host, Lady Jen Du Plessis, and with me today, I'm so excited about this interview, is James Taggart. And James is, let me introduce you just a little bit. He grew up one of 8 kids, big family in Cincinnati, Ohio. Tennis player, which I love. I was a competitive tennis player as well. Ended up getting a degree in economics and finance, and then found himself down in Orlando, which is where he landed for quite some time. But recently, he moved up to Washington, D.C., and he's living on his boat, right? His 38-foot, I can't find it. Where is it? I know I had it here. Your 38-foot something, but you'll tell us
Lagoon
all about it.
catamaran.
There you go, 38-foot catamaran. He's living on that. It's sort of this lifelong dream, and we'll talk about how that all transpired because I'm familiar with that as well. But most importantly, for you not watching, if you are not watching, you need to stop and go to YouTube and watch. James is a James Bond impersonator, and he's been been a James Bond impersonator since 2011 and has had a great time, in Las Vegas and internationally, and he's doing all kinds of fun things. So we're going to talk about a couple different things that he's doing in business. So James, welcome to the show.
Jen, thank you so much. And for all the Bond fans, I've got to give this because otherwise they're going to be highly disappointed. And I'm probably going to hear it in some emails.
They're going to go, which James Bond, right?
James Bond. So, and now it can be James Taggart or
Yeah.
Bond. I mean, I go in and out.
Right. So you look like the actor Craig. I don't know his last name.
Yeah, that's his last name. It's Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig. Yeah, you look like Daniel Craig. So those of you that are, trying to figure yourself over to YouTube, now you'll know who he actually. Just amazing that you do. And we were laughing in the green room because you had your James Bond tuxedo on, but we know beneath that you have your captain shorts on.
Jen, that's supposed to be top secret. That's right.
That's
I'm Bond on top and a boat captain on bottom.
I love it. I absolutely love it. One of the things that we talk about, James, on the show is, all the different types of businesses, and with Business on the Vine, we talk about everything that you heard through the grapevine. So you've got two very unique businesses that we want to talk about. And I love how you're able to combine your passion. And I don't even know if being James Bond is a passion, but boating's a passion and that becomes your business. And, being a James Bond impersonator, these are two, I mean, this is totally what I always talk about all the time, which is live your legacy while you're building it. Don't wait for one day when it happens. So give us a little walk down memory lane as to, how James Bond came into effect, because that was in 2011. Then we'll bring it forward to what you're doing now on your catamaran.
Love it. Well, again, thanks so much for having me on, Jen. I really appreciate it. And hi to everyone out there. So, yeah, so what happened is a lot of times people will think the James Bond impersonation business just came about after I had 3 or 4 people, come up to me. And that's really not the case. What happened was nobody had ever come up to me and said, hey, and anybody tell you look like that actor Daniel Craig from Golden Compass or Road to Perdition or any of the movies that he was in. But when 2006 came around and he did Casino Royale, it just immediately started, and it was nonstop. And so I would tell people, thank you. I don't see the resemblance because I had never had any professional photography done, and all I see is maybe what I don't know 4 or 5% of my face
Right.
from shaving, and so I never saw the resemblance. And so all these years for 5 years from 2006 to 2011, I would just say, thank you. And then one day in 2011, I had 3 people come up to me in the span of 90 minutes and all say, hey, has anybody told you you look like James Bond? Anybody tell you you look like Daniel Craig? And I just said, you know what, that's it. It was actually quite a frustrating moment. And I said, there has to be some type of a business opportunity there. So I called my college roommate, who's a very successful actor. He's been in a ton of really big films, and that's all he's done now for over 40 years
Oh, wow.
is act full time. And so I said, Roy, I said, give me some advice how this acting thing works. And I was living in Orlando at the time. And he said, well, get some photography done because Disney and Universal are always looking for a healthy dad. I was in my 40s at the time. And so I got some photography done and I saw my profile. And then I just started doing some research on Daniel Craig. And I actually found a photo of Daniel Craig that looks more like me than it does him. And
Oh my God.
it
Yeah,
freaked
yeah,
me out. And I
yeah.
sent it to my roommate and he goes, I can't believe how much you look like that guy. And I said, that's not me. That's him. And
That's actually him. Yeah.
yeah. So I sent the photography off to an agency that specializes in lookalike work, and they hired me for that first event. And I didn't know what I was doing, and I was in and out of a really bad English accent. And but I met an impersonator there that had just gotten back from Japan, and I said, wait a second. I said, let me get this straight. Somebody paid you a fee. They paid all your expenses. They flew you to Japan. They put you up in a nice place so you could go to a party and be an impersonator for 3 hours. And I said, I can do that job.
Yeah,
So
sign me up.
that's exactly right. So I put my website live and I booked my first event 18 hours after my website went live. And it really just, I mean, it exploded from there. I got a call from an agent in Vegas. She asked me if I spoke with an English accent. I said I don't. She goes, you have 7 weeks. If you're going to work in Vegas, you got to be a look-alike, a sound-alike, a walk-alike, everything. So I've got some great friends. She's a world-renowned singer, and she's a voice technician, and she gave me some tips, and that was the start of it. And it's just been just an amazing, fun run
Yeah,
for 13
I
years.
imagine, and and I imagine that there at some point, and I'm relating this to the fact that I have a beautiful little Maltese dog. But at some point, I don't go out with my dog because, oh, it's cute. Is it this? Is it that? Is it a girl? What's its name? How old is it? This, that, and the other. At some point, you probably want to go out and just be James Taggart, correct?
You know what? I have, I tell people I'm top three most fortunate people on the planet. And I don't know that there's two more that are more fortunate. I just allow room. But in that sense, I really have it a lot better than Daniel Craig because Daniel Craig can't go anywhere
Yeah.
without attracting that attention. And I'm not at that point. Of course, when I'm wearing my tux and I'm walking down the street in Las Vegas, I'm stopped. I'm asked for photos, the
Right.
whole bit. But in my regular day, I'll see people, I'll even hear people, James Bond. As I'm walking by, they're like, that guy look like James Bond. But it's nothing but a blessing. There is absolutely zero downside. So I still
Yes.
live my life, and yeah, and it's just it's a fun thing. People at events say, "Man, you must really get tired of taking photographs." And I say, I am so blessed. I've worked all over the world with this, career, and to be tired of something. If I was in the middle of the street in Orlando in July with a jackhammer, that's something you could get tired of. But
Right, right. But I want to ask you about this. One of the things that you just said was that, you took this leap of faith. 18 hours later, you had your first gig. And, I want to know a couple things about this. One is, how did you feel? Like, oh, it was that easy. Now what? What do I do? Because this is something that people do in business is what did I just do? That decision I just made. Oh, what did I get myself into? So walk us through how you got through that, for yourself personally, and then share a little bit about how it relates to business in your perspective.
sure. Well, none of it uh, really was a stretch for me outside of learning the accent and
Mhm.
then learning um, how disappointed I could make someone if I told them reality. And that
Oh,
that was that was really um,
okay.
that
It
was
was
a
fake it till you made it.
well, it's not actually that because all of that came really easy. I had been a martial artist at the same place in Orlando for 30 years, and I was an instructor. So I'm used to being out in front of people. I'm used to speaking in front of people, and so the crowd wasn't intimidating. None of that was intimidating. Where I'm going with the how much I could disappoint someone is if I told some I'm a very honest person. So people would say, "Hey, are you really that guy?" And I'm like, "I'm not that guy. I'm that
Yeah.
guy that looks like that guy that plays a fictional guy." And so, I had some events where I told people that I was an impersonator, and they literally were crushed.
Oh
And
my
so I
gosh.
realized I had to find a. Some of them weren't only crushed. Some of them I did a bond mitzvah for a family up in New Jersey, in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and the client that I was working for had a lot of money, and his older son had a rap band that was quite big at the time. So he was running in a financial circle that maybe he actually would have Daniel Craig. And it was an extremely elaborate party. They hired me, they hired
Oh, so yeah, it
Sean
was his
Connery.
reputation.
So anyway, it wasn't him. All of they had like 10 Bond girls, dancers, actors. They hired a Sean Connery impersonator. They hired villains from the UK that were tremendous. And so all of these girls told the young kids at this event that I was really Daniel Craig. And so when we got done with the opening skit, I got mobbed to a degree that I've never been mobbed in my lifetime. I had, in a circular way, 8 kids deep and just
Wow.
getting selfies with me, and had some crazy experiences with that. But this one girl said, I can't believe it's you. I can't believe it's you. I can't believe it's you. And I said, I'm not him. I'm an impersonator. And she's, 12 years old, 13
Yeah.
years old or whatever. And she came back about 15 minutes later, and she jammed her phone about 1 inch from my face with the word imposter.
Oh,
And
oh,
I went from being the coolest guy in the room to, man, I was garbage. Um,
wow.
15
Wow.
minutes
Wow.
later. And so it really hit me that, I have to be careful about the honesty thing, because there's going to be times where it's not going to make sense for me
Yeah.
to say I'm an impersonator. I'm not going to say one or the other, but I'm just going to let it go.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting thing. But
Yeah, I guess that would be interesting because I was just in Vegas and there was a Michael Jackson impersonator, and he started on down on Fremont Street in one of the circles, right?
yes,
He started in Fremont Street and now he's like in high demand. In fact, when I came into the room and saw him, I thought it was a hologram that they were showing on the stage. He looks so
yes,
much like him.
yep,
But he did not stay, he pretty much stayed. I mean, his demeanor was like him, the way he stood and stuff, but he
right,
didn't speak like him when I guess he could if he needed to. But when you have someone that you're impersonating who has passed on, I think it's probably a lot easier than someone who's living.
true.
Um,
Yeah, it's a
now
good point.
does Daniel Craig, is he European, or is that a fake accent for him?
No, no, he is from the UK. He's from the
Oh, okay, okay.
Chester,
Yeah, so you
UK.
can't ever fake it. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing with Daniel Craig. His accent is really, really light. As a matter of fact,
Wow.
I've been approached by so many people that aren't sure whether he's from the United States or Canada,
Yeah.
or, he's actually British, because he'll speak full sentences where you don't even hear any accent at all until he gets to a word like job, or
Right.
something like that. And
Yeah.
so it's really, it's a slight thing. Whereas, you've got Sean Connery, and Sean Connery's accent is so big,
Oh, yeah.
it's just, it's a whole nother world. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So okay, so you get this first gig, so again, I'm going to step back into business here. So when business owner makes a major decision to start a new line of something, to start a new product, a new service, or even to start a business, and they have that moment of, am I an imposter? And this is the imposter syndrome, right? It's
right.
called the imposter syndrome. And they're like, I don't know if I can really, really do that. What are some things that you went through or that you could guide others for?
Well, for me, it was, that whole thing. Um, I can't say was a challenge outside of getting that accent down, because I think I really just owe it to going back to what I said about my time in front of people, um, communicating what's taking place, in front of, large audiences. So all of that, and then really I just looked at it as, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Um, And what I could see from the the participant of the event is they are instantly transported into a really great state. And our society, I wouldn't say is necessarily a really happy society. And so we need diversions. We need things that take us out of our head. And what I realized very quickly is what I do really brings a lot of happiness to people, because they walk in, you know, they'll walk into an event. A lot of times, they'll keep me behind a door so the person doesn't see me from afar, and so it's a very quick thing. And somebody will walk in and they'll kind of have a look on their face like this, and you can just tell they're totally absorbed in their life. And they'll look at me, and then
Oh my
they'll do a
gosh.
double take, right? And immediately everything, the
Yeah.
energy shifts, their look, all of a sudden they're smiling, they're laughing, like, or they're trying to figure out who I am or whatever. And so when I saw what's taking place with that, it was like, oh man, let me just have fun with this, because people really need more fun. And I'm a big proponent for have fun in life, right? There's a reason I
Yeah.
didn't open a dry cleaning operation.
Right, right, because you didn't want to have fun, right? So,
I,
okay, so what I'm hearing, yeah, and we're going to go to break here real quick here, is that what I'm hearing is step into your own. You know what you're doing, step into your own, enjoy it. And really, how dare you keep yourself away from clients that you can serve and make happy, right? So
that's an excellent way to put it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I always say that to myself, how dare I not call them, right,
Yeah,
to make them happy,
that's
so
right.
solve their problem, etc. But what did you just say to me, James?
I said that they're always coming after me. Spectre is always coming after me. So, technology, it's like, which villain is trying to get in?
Right. Great excuse. I love that.
That's
I
right.
love that. Okay, so I want to talk about what you're doing now in the last, 8 minutes that we have together. I want to talk about, how you took this passion. I remember, well, I'll let you tell the story about how you got from Florida up here. I think it's pretty interesting. But what you're doing now and what opportunities people have that, are either in Washington, D.C., or are, the DMV, or are coming and visiting Washington, D.C., and what opportunities they might have to work with you. But I want to talk about how this idea came about and how you got here.
Yeah, well, I mean, literally, this is a lifelong thing. I don't ever say that I'm living the dream, but when I was 4 years old, being the youngest of eight, my mom had all of us reading early, and my favorite books were Magellan, Balboa, Vasco da Gama, and I decided back then that I was going to live on a sailboat, and I almost did it in college. I almost moved to San Francisco to live on a boat out there, but it never happened. So I'd never done it, and so it was always in me. And I was raising my son as a single dad, and in 2016 this energy to live on a boat was getting stronger and stronger. And I thought, man, I haven't been on a big boat. Let me check this out. So I did a week-long live aboard down in Fort Lauderdale, fell in love with it, came back thinking I need to buy a boat this afternoon. It wouldn't have worked out because my son is not into boats. But anyway, I joined a sailing organization in 2018, spent 11 months on a monohull. And then my H2007 came up. It was a perfect situation with Lagoon. It was exactly the boat that I wanted. And so I pulled the trigger on it, bought it. I'm just in a couple of weeks, it'll be my 5-year anniversary of owning the boat. I kept it in that sailing organization for 38 months. And then I moved on to it January 1st of last year. So it's just been absolutely. I mean, it's Nirvana on Nirvana.
Yeah,
Um, Outside of the expense, I hate the expense, but even that,
yeah, yeah,
it's such a joy to live on it. I look past the expense, and
yeah.
it was a grand adventure coming up here. Did you
Yeah.
have a question?
Well, and it's going to be different for you, obviously, as you get through all these winter months and things like that. What do you see as, how, and maybe you already have lived through a winter month, but what do you see as how you're going to be able to handle that in the winter, staying warm? And because, well, you and I talked about it. My husband and I are both captains. We have a cabin cubby, so we sleep on our boat, when we have the opportunity down at the lake and everything. But there are nights where like, it's too cold tonight. We won't be sleeping on the
Yes.
boat tonight, right?
Oh, you
So
are
how do
hitting
you
me
see
behind
that
right
happening?
here, right between the eyes. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
spent the winter, the first winter, on my boat down in Solomon's Island, about an hour and a half south of where I am now, and I'm
Yep.
not doing that again. So I'm in the
Yeah.
harbor. I'm in National Harbor right now, and I'll
Yeah.
I'll head out in about 8 to 9 weeks. And all I know is that I'm heading south. Where I
Yeah.
end up, I literally could be Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
Keys, anywhere in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, but I'm going south.
Yeah.
I'm a wimp. I
And
am.
then you'll come back up north. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And you'll be a snowbird or some kind of sailbird or something. But
That I
yeah,
like the sailbird. I
yeah,
like
you're
that.
a sailbird. There you go. Okay, so this is a business as well. This, not only is it your home, but I'd be curious to know if you have a double write-off, right?
Yeah.
That's really cool. Not the 25% of your home that we all have, but so it became a business. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing specifically with your business, in the Inner Harbor in Washington, D.C.
Yep. So I'm at 007sailing.com, and I have on my website, just for simplicity, just 2 hour charters. And I'm going in and out of National Harbor, and I'm taking people out, and I am the only sailboat in this harbor. It's all
Wow.
power boats.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the slowness of sailing really feeds the soul. And because the pace of our society is so hectic and so
Mhm.
relentless, people really need to slow down. But
Yeah,
they rarely give themselves the opportunity. And when you get out on a sailboat and now you're just being moved by Mother Nature and you're on the front of my trampolines and all you're hearing is just the water lapping at the hull, it is, I tell people, because they're like, well, where are we going? And I'm like, well, it's a slow process. So we're not going far geographically, but we're going to go a long way emotionally. And that's
yeah,
what takes place. People get off the boat and they have just literally been transported. So
yeah,
it's a beautiful thing. And again, going back to the fun thing, what a fun thing and an honorable thing for me to have people on my boat that don't get a chance to experience the water as often as I do. And now they get out here and they're just like, oh my God, this
yeah,
is
yeah.
fantastic. So it's a beautiful thing. I'm seeing nothing but huge smiles on people's faces and relaxation, and kind of the same thing with the bond business. The energy changes. So it's just really, it's a beautiful
Now, do
thing.
you dress up like Bond when you are sailing?
Not yet.
Okay.
Although I'm gonna put that into play hopefully next season. So this season was really about getting established, making
Yeah.
some contacts, and I just launched the business 3.5 months ago. But I've got
Yeah.
42 5-star Google reviews, so people are loving it. So I need a captain. You know a husband and wife captain team I can use?
Right.
So
So that you can walk around and be that.
that's
Yeah.
right.
The only
That's
thing
right.
is we're power boaters, right? We only know how to do that, not sailing. I'd probably run
It's
us
easy.
aground somewhere. Yeah, I would just going, oh, we can go over by this shore. It's no problem. Um,
Right.
right. That would be my only concern. No, I love catamaran riding. We do it in
Yeah.
Hawaii. We do it when we're cruising. We go on cruises and we hop on a catamaran. It's so funny. We can't get enough of being on the water.
Right.
And there is something about it, and people don't understand it until
Yeah.
we invite people to come down on our boat all the time, and they're like, yeah, 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 yeah. And then when they get there, like, wow, I should
Yes.
have done this years ago. And yeah, you should have. So do you do this for corporate people too that want to have an experience for their teams or a retreat or a workshop? That type.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm talking to everybody. I've got a luncheon meeting on my boat with all of the GMs of the hotels of National Harbor coming up. And what I'm going to talk to these guys about is having some executive meetings at sunrise. So they get
Oh,
down here, in the summer, I was able to get out at 6 a.m. a couple of mornings. Now I'm getting out at about 7:15. But I mean, you are talking about it's unbelievable.
yeah,
7:15, and we're getting back to the harbor at 9:15. You walk up and you're starting your day at 9:30, but you're in
yeah.
a completely different creative
You get
mode.
so much more done. Yeah, you
That's
you
it.
totally get so much more done.
Exactly
Yeah,
right.
I love that. Okay, love it, love it. So again, the best way for someone to get a hold of you is to go to 007sailing.com,
That's
right?
it.
And they can book with you. Where can they book if they want to have you be at their private event, their charity event, you and I were talking about that. I have an event coming up that I'm doing a dance competition, it's a big charity event in DC. And so if someone wants you to come and be an impersonator for them, where do they find you for that?
Yep. And that's just 007 now, NOW.com. So just real simple,
Awesome.
007sailing.com, 007now.com.
Awesome. I love it. Okay. Any last thoughts you want to leave with someone who's listening, who's a business owner saying, wow, he's not only living his dream and living on a boat and making it his business, but he's also doing the impersonation. Maybe this crazy idea that I have could work. What do you say to them?
Oh, I mean, just do it. And the thing is, for me, I don't get hung up on whether it works or it doesn't work. For me, what I get hung up on is I don't want to get to the end of my life, whenever that is, and look back and say, man, I wanted to do this, I wanted to do this, I wanted to do this. And I let my internal fears, I let societal fears, I let whatever, it doesn't matter what you let get in. The deal is just do it. Where it goes, it may open the door to something that you've never even thought of, but it takes you in a different direction that you then fall in love with. And your original idea, although it didn't work the way you had planned it working, it still presented another situation to you. But either way, even if you get in, you lose all your money, you're very disappointed, and you're going through now a tough time in life, you still aren't going to have to look back and say, you know what? I didn't try it. And I
Yeah.
think that is a far greater deal than people tend to
Not
look at.
trying at all. Yeah,
That's
not
it.
trying at all, and having those
It's the
regrets.
whole
And
deal.
yeah. Okay, what does James Bond tell us today?
James Bond. Actually, the exact same, there's all kinds of things about myself that mirror my character. And James Bond is going to tell you the same thing. If you watch a James Bond movie, he is doing it. He's getting after it. He's not sitting there, getting a spreadsheet to analyze the risks. I'm not
Right,
saying just do something crazy
right.
wild, but if
Yeah.
you have something internally, James Bond runs by the internal. He sees something and then he goes and does, and that's puts his job in jeopardy and everything else. But you know what? At least in the movies, it always works out. In my opinion, it always is going to work out in your personal life too, because when you take the bull by the horns and you move in that direction, something good is going to happen.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, a quote from Daniel Craig, James Taggart as Daniel Craig in James Bond.
Live your life now.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, James, for being part of the show. We
Again,
really
it's my pleasure.
it's been a blast.
Thanks so
So
much for having me on.
of course, of course. And thank you all for watching and listening. I am so excited that you came here today and learned about new business opportunities and things that are, not so traditional. That's what Business on the Vine is about. It's about doing things that are different. It's about everything that we learn from one another, about the successes, the tips, the tricks, the secrets that we all have. I'm your host, Lady Jen Du Plessis, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Take care. Thank you for joining us on Business on the Vine. If you found value in today's conversation and would like additional support, go to supportfromjen.com. Remember, the best ideas are always discovered on the Vine, so keep innovating, stay inspired, and continue to grow.